So here's how we do it in the cycle. I used to mark my to-do items with a very sophisticated prioritization system from 0 to 100. And I would sit there and think, this is sort of a 62 priority. Maybe it's a 61 priority. Maybe I shall consult with someone else. That's just a waste of time. I went in the exact opposite direction. I said, really, there's 3 priorities. It's got to be done today, because I've told some that I'd finish it by today. There's most things else, lower priority stuff and everything else. Very simple priority system. And so now, actually we're going to go through this with one example, but let me just tell you, for the people using VI to maintain a list, if you notice your priorities, A, B, C, you mark things done, that's D. Your days of the week all begin with don't begin with any of those letters, which means simple awk scripts can do interesting statistics on your completed to-do list. Okay, now prioritizing. So test, if you get out your piece of paper or whatever, let's mark testing new GC. Let's just say that's an A priority. Actually, it is, because remember I said we didn't have time to do it, but the person said if you do it first thing, it'd be done by noon when they really needed it. New support hours, A priority. This design, it's important that we write this design. These are some new items, by the way. It's important that we write the design, but it's not due today, so it's a B. We have to delete 50 terabytes of data, and first we have to archive it. That's a low priority, but actually maybe it's not a low priority. Well, we'll talk about that more in the next slide. Here's something with a long lead time. We're going to be bidding on a new SAN. I want to get at least 3 bids going. So the first step is to call salespeople and leave voicemail. So it's not going to take a lot of time, but if I don't do it now, by the time it's going to take a week for them to call me back, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe I'm going to go to their 3 different websites and fill out their little forms so that I get a call back later in the week. And installing this new IDS system in the test lab, it's going to take a long time. I've marked estimated durations in the last column. So this is like an 8-hour kind of project. And let's actually rewrite this one. I have to archive the data, then delete it. Well, if I kick off the archive, that's going to run for a day or two. Even though deleting the data is a low priority item, getting started is high priority. And our priorities aren't really about business priorities, they're about our personal priorities, how we need to organize ourselves. So it's a personal priority to get started. Once the archive is kicked off, maybe we'll mark this as done and mark something in tomorrow's list that's check on the archive to see that it's completed or whatever. So now the day's begun. Oh, and by the way, this for you doing VI, your sheet hopefully looks something like this.
Where are you putting the duration?
When I do it in Notepad, I just put the duration at the end of each line in parentheses. So a single-digit number in parentheses means that must be a duration. I've been doing this long enough now that I just ballpark things in my head, which I don't recommend you do that until you're a little bit used to the process. Let's just move back. So let's assume this is a no meeting day. What am I going to be able to do today? So I'm going to work 8 hours. And so in the beginning, when I plan my day, I'm going to have time for the first 2 things. It's 2.5 hours. And this one, well, starting the archiving is really probably 10 minutes or maybe half an hour if I have to change tapes or something. So let's say this is 2.5, 3 hours. Then we can work on the B priorities. This is 4 hours, but we're not going to do it all today. So let's say another hour, 5 hours. Or let's say we're going to put 2 hours. So 6 hours total. This is another hour, 7 hours, and lunch makes 8. And that worked out pretty well because we don't have time for this item, but it's a C priority, so that's cool. If this was higher priority, we might chunk this. We would definitely have a problem because this 8-hour task means we don't have time for anything else. So if it was a B priority, we might split this into a couple smaller things, like get started, find rack space. Get it into the rack might be a good first milestone, and then have the software loaded is a good second milestone. Do some hello world kind of test is a good next milestone. Another nice thing about VI, VI can sort lines of text, so it can prioritize for you, sort of. Oh, and I talked about that slide already. Okay.